Okay. So we left off with you guys in the Rise and Grind lunchroom. We left with Dane awaiting to reveal something to the party, or at least he wanted to speak with you guys. Your servants, Cole and Valentina, affectionately known by Korak as what again?
Francois and Gigi.
Francois and Gigi. Yes, and
The Tarasca's human.
yeah, meatbags.
Yeah, just humans.
So, yeah, that's where you guys are at. And we'll start off with, we'll just go straight to Dane. Everybody,
Okay.
when we ended, was looking at you, waiting for you to say something, because you'd apparently garnered everybody's attention.
Oh, I guard everybody's attention as I tell them that when we were at our last location, I was visited by my master in a dream. And in that dream, he was killed. I have reason to believe he is dead in real life, not just in my dream world. Before he died, he showed me a signet ring that was on his finger, and I was told to find someone by the name of Daniel in this town. Sorry, that was sorry, that was one of my apps alerting me of something. Man, that just completely killed the kill thing, didn't it?
I'm not going to be
All
able to
right.
get that sound out of my head for the rest of the freaking night.
Well,
Anytime
then that
something
means I'm going to be
serious
turning
happens,
this
I'm just
down
gonna
here
think,
really soon. Anyway, I when I awoke from my perilous slumber, I found this, and I pull out the egg. I have not shown this yet to Daniel. However, when I told him about the ring that was worn by my master, he said that my compatriots would need to come along if we were to discuss things further.
As a quick side note, Dane, you would have known, due to your experience with these kinds of things, that it wasn't a dream you were having. Your spirit actually was compelled from your body. So
Okay, so this was an out-of-body experience.
yeah, so when you witnessed your master get his head lopped off, you witnessed the real thing happening.
Okay.
Yep.
That would have been a good thing to have known out of character. So that's kind of where things stand at this moment on our end.
And when he pulls out this egg and you guys see it, you can see almost a little bit of steam or something coming from it. And it emanates this cold from it. And it's this blue, beautiful blue egg. It almost looks like a, is it robins that lay little blue eggs?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like a little robin's egg, but about the size of, I don't know, like a 5-pound ball, maybe. Not quite the size of a football, about the size of a Nerf football.
Okay.
Wow, that would make a great omelet.
I give Quack a very stern look and say, "Don't you dare."
I'll take over easy.
I have been entrusted with, my master apparently entrusted me with the care of this, and by virtue of us all being together, so have you.
So you were given a ring and an egg.
I was not given the ring. I was just shown the ring.
Oh. then you were given an egg in a dream.
That may have, well, this was not exactly, it was not exactly a dream. To you guys, it would have been, probably a better description would have been an out-of-body experience.
Yes, I've had many of those after a night of drinking.
Mm. Yes, but I don't drink that much. You know that, you've seen that I don't.
How do you get a physical egg through an out-of-body experience? Oh.
To be fair, Korak, how does a woman come from the sky and cause villagers to attack one another? We've seen some unbelievable things these past few weeks.
Dane, make a logic religion test for me.
Logic religion. Okay. 4d6. And I'm going to go ahead and use one of my luck dice to help spur things on. I'll roll it separate. Oh, wow. That's an awesome roll right there. 23.
So in your studies in the temple, you remember coming, when you think about that, and Korak asks you this question, you remember coming across some writings that spoke about traversing the spiritual realm, having out-of-body experiences, and generally using this displaced type magic. And you remember coming across an article that talked about the transferal of objects magically. And when you think back not too long ago even, you remember Tobias having an item that was enchanted with such a spell, where all of the, whatever it was that he had, the eyeballs and everything, just kind of instantly vanished. And it must have been a very powerful version of that same spell. And so someone on the other end, someone at the temple, must have
perhaps even
cast
my
this
master
type of magic to send this object to you. And indeed, when you reflect back on that experience, you remember a brief moment where your master snapped his fingers and a man behind him holding an object covered in a black cloth scurried off back behind into another room that you could not see. And so as you put the puzzle pieces together, you begin to realize that's exactly what that man was doing.
Okay. There are members of my order who have some very special abilities, even more powerful than my own. I have reason to believe that during my experience that it was ordered to have this transferred upon me.
So your order gave you an egg. Star's got a very confused look on his face.
I am somewhat befuddled by this as well. I guess this would be a logic test to see if I recall seeing this egg in the...
All of this is completely new to Dane. You've never seen the egg.
Okay.
And you've never seen the ring. All of this is like kind of off-putting. And when you reflect on it actually a little bit further, it's like, wait a minute. You're right. What the hell is going on?
Okay. So, I actually look to all of you and say, what do you know? Do any of you know of any orders, groups that would have a symbol, a symbol of a ring or a signet ring that has a white flame?
The Witches of Tarvalin. Sorry.
Tarvalin.
I'm assuming that was an out of character metagame.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wheel of Time.
Yeah, something I never really got into is Wheel of Time. But I'm actually asking this, so I'm guessing We want all you guys to run.
I mean, I got local knowledge. That's about it.
Let's see. This would probably be no, this would most definitely be either a logic history or logic religion test to whomever wants to make it.
I got none.
I have logic.
Yeah, I have crappy logic.
Bad logic, but I do have it. I don't have religion or history, so.
Yeah, I'd be no good on that.
Yeah, they didn't teach much of that in gladiator school.
No, they didn't.
All I know is as soon as I mentioned this to Daniel, he had a very concerned look upon his face and insisted that I bring everyone in my group, everyone of my party here so he could inform all of us of what's going on.
Okay. And when does this meeting have to occur?
I know that you have your battle coming up, so I would recommend that we try to do this as soon as possible so that you can be in adequate position to have your entertainment.
Dane, I don't know if that's the best idea. What if whatever the old man tells us requires us to leave right away? Perhaps we should let him have his match and then go see this Daniel again.
Yeah, there's no harm in going to see what he has to say.
Yeah, my concern is that with his, I guess, what is it for perception, intuition?
Mm-hmm. What are you seeking to?
I'm trying to intuit whether or not his demeanor, his kind of after I brought this up, whether or not his demeanor implied that if we don't get to him soon, either he's going to be gone one way or another, whether that be he leaves town or he is dead.
So you don't need to make a roll to remember what he said, and what he said was basically it was urgent. So essentially, he conveyed to you guys that gather your crap and come back to me, because what you're about to learn and the things you're about to discover are of some of the most important things that you could possibly do in your lifetime. So to him, I guess urgent is the wrong word, because that would imply haste. I guess what I'm speaking to is the levity of the situation that he was portraying. So you weren't necessarily pressed for time to see him, but it was more or less something that was extraordinarily important that seemed to him, or seemed to you rather, that was going to happen one way or the other, with or without you. And these things have a way of happening.
And I have a question. When you described the egg, you said that it was smoking.
In the way that ice lets off.
More like it was steaming.
Yes, thank you. Exactly. It's letting off some steam in the warm air.
And has it always done that, Dane?
It has.
Oh,
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and in fact, when you look in your backpack with the things that it was kept next to, some of them are indeed frozen. So you'll probably have like a frozen ration in there. There's a few wet things in there that have maybe gotten frozen and melted, and nothing in your pack is necessarily ruined. Unless you want it to be, but there's.
No, I mean,
it was clearly in there, just being cold. Speaking of the egg, I wanted to go over to Tarask really quick and see if, being a ranger that grew up in nature and all of that kind of stuff, is he taking any special interest in the egg, or right now is his focus on the conversation about Daniel? He
had looked at the egg, but I think he was kind of at like the other end of the table. Okay. He might kind of stand up though and start to kind of come closer to the group and hold out his hand before Dane actually puts that egg back in his bag. And if Dane hands it to him, he would kind of look it over, at first thinking it does look like an oversized bird egg. So can he roll an intuition nature check?
Yep, that's exactly. And actually, you could choose between your intuition or your logic, whichever is higher.
Okay. $12.
12. Okay, so Tarask's experience with eggs has largely been cooking them and harvesting them from animals and everything. However, you do have an eye for what is natural and what is not. And to your eye, to the best of your knowledge, this egg appears to have no affiliation with anything natural. The grooves on it seem almost alien. The way it emanates cold seems like there should be nothing living inside. And indeed, in your grasp, in your hands, it seems much more like a magical object than it does any kind of biological, natural thing.
And I was about to say, I do have sense magic as one of my exploits. So.
Well, I hadn't thought of that. I would say
I have sense magic and identify.
Let me read sense magic really quick. Do you have, unless you have the description right there in front of you?
I know I can sense the magic on something within a 60-foot range.
Yeah, I knew it was 60 feet. I just didn't know. I was hoping for the.
I'm pulling it back. I'm pulling it back up as a reminder from too.
Do you remember what career gave it to you?
Sense magic was given to me. It was I believe that was part of my I think that was lore master.
No, it's not under lore master here.
Then it'd be inquisitor.
Yes, there it is. You're able to sniff out magic within 60 feet. Okay. So, I would say yes. You have had a sense that this egg is magical.
Okay. And then
with identify, even with the identify exploit, you are incapable of identifying what this egg is.
Okay.
All you know about it is that it is magical in nature.
Okay.
So we have a cold egg that's magic.
Mm-hmm.
And Tarask would kind of just take the egg, and after checking it out and feeling these grooves, he hands it back to Dane and says, "You know that's no egg, right?"
I know it's at least egg-shaped. I know that it is not. I know it's not of this natural world. I know that it is magical. That is about all I know.
Everybody make
just
perception
kinda
checks.
Perception check.
So I'm not able even to give a name for it.
No,
Okay.
nothing. It's so out of this world that you can't.
Okay.
Identify
Okay. I was
it,
about to say it's definitely this is something. It's potentially it could be
15.
of the spirit plane.
Okay.
Let's see. Intuition is perception, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
11.
Caleb?
Yeah.
What'd you roll for your perception?
I must have gone out because I didn't hear that, but let me roll it.
And Korak, did you roll a perception test as well? Oh.
12.
14.
Okay, and Dane, what was yours again?
11.
Okay. Ishtar and Tarask. When you guys kind of come to this revelation that this egg is something otherworldly, you guys just barely catch the pitter-patter of feet running from outside the room. You hear some
I draw my
scurrying
weapon.
off. Yeah, something was just running away.
Open the door.
Nothing's there. The hallway stretches down, and in fact, you see Cole standing there, and he says, "Oh, good sir, can I help you?"
What kind of condition is this in?
It's in very nice condition. You get, according to Korak, you guys are in the most moderate kind of lodgings, and it's still very nice.
So the
it's
floor,
a very nice lodge.
Floor might be like waxed, well treated, things like that.
Oh yeah.
So Tarask is going to try to do what he really does, and use tracking, which I believe pairs with intuition, to try to look at the ground to see if he can see any smudges.
I asked Ishtar, because I didn't. What's going on, Ishtar?
Ishtar turns back. Like emotions, like Dane, come here. Someone's listening. They ran away.
And when I peek out the door, when I peek out the door, I see that same person that was just standing there.
Francois was
at first
there.
the hallway was empty, and then Cole just kind of like he was walking around doing his normal thing, and he popped in the hallway, and then suddenly saw Ishtar and was like, "Oh, hello. Can I help you, sir?"
Yes. Was anyone else up here? Did you see someone?
He looks around and he says, I have to admit it's a large establishment, sir. If there was somebody here, I don't know of it."
No, but where you just came from, you saw no one go that way?
He shakes his head.
I rolled
Ishtar,
oh, sorry.
probably for one of the first times ever you see Ishtar get a serious face. She's normally always carefree. Ishtar's like, "Guys, we need to get out of here now."
I run back, grab the egg, put it away.
16.
And-
okay.
And I see what
Okay,
Tarask is
yes,
doing.
as
I turn
you're-
to him.
As you're putting
Any
the
luck,
egg,
Tarask?
yeah, you see him. He's looking down at the floor, and let me roll really quick.
The guy's looking down at the floor.
No, Tarask is. He's investigating.
Okay.
if he
Okay.
can-
Sorry, I thought you were talking because if Cole,
Wait a
that guy,
minute.
if he was looking at the floor, I was going to start
Haha.
trying to determine whether or not he was lying or not.
No, it's just me. That's the game.
Okay.
No, Cole.
In spite of your best efforts and a fairly good roll, whomever was running around has left, to your sight, no tracks.
Can I assist? Correct. Assist or attempt to track as well.
Yes, of course you can always attempt to. You're going to be looking to beat a 19.
19. I'll throw in a luck die.
Get that left eye out.
This is-
And
You see Tarask unable to do that. You.
18.
Ah. So yeah, as you are both looking at the floor, you see it. You do see a footprint, and then when you look up, you see that it is Tarask's, and you're like, oh,
Damn it. I found him. Oh. Okay.
Isteran once again is like, guys, I think we need to leave.
I agree. The big thing is we tell no one we're going. We tell no one that we are going or where we're going. We just go.
Okay. Except this is out of character right now. The coal guy, he's standing right there in front of us.
Yeah, you look.
Well, no, I said that out of character, but the conversation was obviously, yeah.
Tell no one that we're going anywhere.
Exactly. That's what I was like. Oh shit, the guy's right there.
Your secret's safe with me, sir.
You know what? I do have a bunch of money. I give him 10 gold.
He says
Okay.
he refuses it. He refuses it, and he says, we are under strict instructions by Herndon that if we overhear anything of a sensitive nature, that we are to ignore it and act it as though it did not exist, and this conversation never happened. I dare not risk my employment with Herndon over such matters.
Tarask,
Can I make a thievery check and try and slip it in his pocket?
You can.
Nice.
and Tarask would kind of pat him on the shoulder, not realizing he's trying to slip gold into the man's pocket, and just go, "What are you offering him 10 gold for? I'd kill him for 5.
I got 15 on the roll.
All right, just give me just a second. This is a
Ishtar was brought up more like
you're like
bribe
planting a...
people and treat
Yeah.
people well. Like that's Ishtar's kind of way.
And
Usually a kind of devil may care attitude, but he knows like you throw money at people, they tend to either listen more or.
Yeah. Now you rolled an agility thievery check, right?
Yes, and I got
Okay.
15.
15. Okay, just a second.
It'd be funny as hell if he caught me.
Okay, yeah, it's going to be his perception roll against your thievery roll. So what did you roll for thievery again? 15?
15.
Okay. He is a regular person, so he only gets 3d6. He only gets an 11, so he does not see you plant 10 gold on him. And in the meantime, you also feel a few other things in his pocket. Among them being a washcloth and the other a feather duster.
I will leave those in his pocket.
Okay. Yes, and he looks at you, Tarask, and he says, he seems not off-put by your threat at all. Like, this is something that he's just used to dealing with, and he says, he just kind of laughs. He's like, ha, ha, ha. Yes, well, if we're done here, I'll be going.
here you go.
He says, although I insist that you must stay. Surely, Korak, you look like you need some rest. Especially if you're fighting tomorrow.
My only concern is that Herndon was going to contact me here to let me know the start time of the fight.
I'm sure if we asked Cole to take that message, would he?
Yes. If you left a message for Herndon, he would get it.
Okay. Francois.
He'll acknowledge you.
Tell Herndon that I will be at his office at 10 a.m. tomorrow.
He nods and he's like, yes. Are you sure you aren't staying? Certainly you must get a good night's sleep. Yeah, after that glorious battle you just had with those, whatever those creatures were. I heard about that. You look like you could use some rest.
I will get some rest, but we need to take certain precautions at this time.
Oh, I understand. Yes, have a wonderful day. I will make sure Herndon knows that you'll be there at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
And he scampers off.
And then I look at everyone and say, I suggest we make haste.
So what are we planning on doing? Are we going directly to see Daniel at this time?
Yes.
That's probably not a bad idea, actually, now.
Okay.
If I have
So
to
you guys-
leave before I have to end up fighting this guy, it's not going to look good for me.
Korak, just think about it. The people will say how afraid he was to fight and how he fled a second time. It will be glorious.
I wouldn't phrase it that way.
No, glorious for me.
We shall see.
Where's Bobby Roode's theme music when I need it?
So you guys make your way over to the Arcane District and back to the Scholar Daniel's bookbinding storefront. And when you all shuffle in, he's dealing with a customer at the moment, but he raises his finger and in order to tell you that he'll be with you in just a moment, and he hurries his conversation with this woman who sees you all come in, and you are clearly of the adventuring type. And for the record, on your way over, you are showered with praise from various citizens who saw your actions in the square with the undead that were attacking Nala. And
Ishtar, like, he sucks that all up.
yes, and actually, Ishtar, you are recognized by a few of them, and they, some for better, some for worse, but yeah, some of them do recognize you and call you by whatever name they know you by, and they'll try to stop you and speak with you as you are going by.
I'll try to be nice, but I'm not gonna stop for anyone. Yeah, Ishtar's actually like kind of scared now. Like that's why I said before. This is probably the first time anyone's seen him like serious. Ishtar's like spooked about what happened.
Something's rocked him.
Yep.
So you've made your way over to Scholar Daniels, and the woman who is there, she is almost ushered out. And when you guys see Daniel for the first time, you notice he is a middle-aged man, and he's got this leather tunic on, and he looks like a very unsuspecting, untoward fellow. And he will look at you, Dane, and he'll say, "Is this everyone?" And as he
Yes.
eyes all of you.
And I nod and say yes.
Yeah, oh yeah, and what I'd meant to say before was, as the woman was going out, she looks at all of you and is like, oh my gosh, because you're all armed to the teeth, and it's not very common to see adventurers just wandering fully garbed with their equipment through the city. Certainly, adventurers do make their way through here and there, but they're never so flagrant to go out fully armed. First of all, they'll probably get stopped by the guard, and second of all, it must mean something is going down. And it's funny because when you leave the central district, the square, it almost seems like nothing happened in Nala at all. It's a rather large city, and the Arcane District is completely. In fact, you on your way through it, you met many people who were just completely unaware of what just happened. And as they come up to you, and you explain to them what happened, they're like, "Oh my gosh!" And they run to the square to go see the destruction and catch up on the news and all that sort of thing. And the Scholar Daniel will open that secret door again and usher you all back downstairs into an already lit room, wherein you see a table in the center and a few chairs set up, as though he was expecting 4 of you. And on the 5th chair, he has his robe that you saw him get out earlier, draped across the back of it. And he'll motion for all of you to sit down at the table. Do you?
I cautiously go sit down.
Yeah.
I walk up to the table, I flip the chair around and sit in the chair that way.
Oh, so you do it. So you pull Riker.
Sure.
So he'll you as you sit down in the chairs, yeah, they're kind of old rickety wooden chairs. There's nothing too special about them. And he will kind of take you all in for a moment, and he'll look at you, Dane, and he'll say, "You've told them."
Yes, I have. They are aware of my experience and what happened.
He says, no, you've told them of the object that you carry.
Yes, they are aware of it as well.
And if you remember last week, you never actually told him. He suspected you had something that you were hiding, but that actually never came up. And so it would dawn on Dane that he has surmised this on his own. And he nods and he looks around to all of you and he says, "Have any of you ever heard of the Order of the White Flame?"
This would be for us. It would be again an intuition religion check.
Logic, history.
Logic, history. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Korak on his logic rolled a 6.
Okay.
He knows nothing about history.
Ishtar rolled a 4 on his logic.
Ooh.
I'm blowing another die just to give myself a cushion. So 46 first. Check.
Big old.
Oh yeah, definitely going to need it because I'm going to need some explosions.
8 logic for me. So
13.
Okay.
Rolled 3 ones.
None of you are able to tell him who the Order of the White Flame is, and you all kind of look at him with like these vapid looks on your faces, and you're doink doink doink, and he says good. And he will grab the robe that's on the chair in front of him, and he'll, in an elegant manner, and he'll put it on. And when he does, it sends dust flying everywhere. It also brushes dust off of some books strewn about the room and everything. And he places the robe on, he pats it off, there's dust coming off and everything. And when he wears this robe, it's a very elegant robe that has some... The core of it is off-white, but there are cuffs on it that are pure white, and there's some symboling or patterns that go up that are gray. And basically the whole theme of it is this white and royal kind of look about it. And he'll go on to say that the Order of the White Flame is a group formed close to the beginning of Isteran time. That when the goddess Adrian created the world, and she saw that everything that she created was in order, that she gave... Well, he'll say that she gave her people he's skipping over a lot of it, and you can tell. But he gave her people, or she gave her people, dragons by color, blue, red, and green. And that the Order of the White Flame were a group of people that refused to worship anything less than the white dragon from which those eggs came. So she gifted her people a white dragon who came and bore them these eggs. And the white dragon's instruction was for these people to worship the dragons that came from these eggs, to take guidance from them and to learn from them. And they in turn would provide knowledge, protection. They would bleed for them, and through their blood, through the dragon's blood, they would be imbued with power over their enemies in the world, of which there were many. And that the Order of the White Flame was formed to reject these lesser dragons and to worship the white dragon. And the white dragon agreed to this. However, there was a trial that they must go through in order to become part of this order. And so the Order of the White Flame has always existed to simply exist, really. Over time, they've had different roles, and he'll explain how there was this one time in this certain year that we had to quell this uprising of these dark forces and so on and so forth. But that they largely operate outside of the jurisdiction of the other dragons and the tribes that worked with them and for them. And then he takes a more serious tone and he says, it isn't but since the last 600 to 700 years that a prophecy has arisen, that this prophecy of a black dragon would come and devour all of Isteran. And he looks over to Korak and he says, you look like you're falling asleep. And then he looks over to Ishtar and he says,
Ishtar to like,
yeah, and he says, you are asleep. Then he looks at Tarask and he says, what think you of what you've learned so far?
What's the concept of dragons for me in this world?
So let's see. You grew up in a tribe. You know that your tribe was highly focused and centered on green reptilian type creatures. And that there were some in your tribe, some elders or some maybe the local crazy, who would go on about, you can worship these lizards all you want, but nothing's as good as the green dragon kind of thing. And so you would have vague familiarity with the notion of a dragon, and in fact, you've probably seen some artwork done of them. However, most of the perception of them from your tribe was that they were these creatures that simply didn't actually exist. They were kind of an idealized lizard creature that if it did exist would be absolutely wonderful, but no such grandiose creature could ever exist.
I do not know what to say to you, old man. Usually fancies like this would be written off as just that. I have seen things, though. I've seen things on the road, and I don't know. Maybe the old men who babbled about the towns, about green dragons, maybe they were right. I can believe it.
He says, looking at all of you again, we haven't much time. And from his pocket, he'll pull out a ring that is identical to the one that Dane was shown in your spirit walk, I guess we'll call it.
As soon as I see that, I ask, what was my master a member of this order?
He takes a long sigh and he says, yes, your master, may he rest in peace. Very good, long-time friend of mine. Was indeed a member of this order. And Dane, it falls upon you now to take up his position within the order. And he'll turn around with his hands clasped behind his back, walking slowly, and he kind of looks up towards the ceiling a little bit, and he says, the prophecy of the Black Dragon is coming, whether we want it to or not. The things we see happening around us, the things, Tarask, you see, are indeed unnatural. And it is our duty, it is our responsibility to quell any threat of this prophecy coming true.
You say there is a test. What is this test that I must complete?
He'll turn back around and he'll put his hands on the table and he'll look at you and he says, for now, simply living. However, in time, your test will be made known to you. And then he'll look at the rest of you sitting around and he'll say, each member of the Order of the White Flame is commissioned his or her own knights. The knights of the White Flame are above reproach. And he looks at Ishtar. And then he slowly turns his gaze to Korak and he says, they are not prideful. And then he turns to Tarask and he says, and they understand that not all the things we see can be explained. And he'll turn back around and he'll kind of pace a little bit with his arms behind his back and he says, fate has brought you to me. And it is looking as though you were chosen by the goddess herself. I spent much of my time in prayer over this. When I saw you in my divination scrying magic, I refused to believe at first that this could possibly be future Knights of the White Flame. However, my fears were confirmed when you walked through my door. He'll say, the longer we wait, the more time the Black Dragon has to gain power. And he says, surely you've sensed it. Surely you've seen something on your travels that would indicate to you that something is going on. All we know about so far is that the Lady Naladri is causing great turmoil across the land. We worry that she may be working to fulfill the prophecy of the Black Dragon herself.
Do you know more of her?
He says, I do indeed.
When that name was mentioned, that's kind of when Ishtar wakes up. He knows that name.
He says, I do indeed. Is there something you care to know about her?
Yes. Was she ever mortal? Is she mortal?
He thinks about that for a second and he says, she is mortal in the sense that she can be killed. However, she is immortal in the sense that she no longer exists on this plane. She once was mortal.
Is she spirit?
She is.
I believe we have encountered her.
He kind of turns to Tarask, and he closes his eyes for just a moment. Dane, you sense magic. Tarask, what's your mental defense?
11.
Oh, I'm not even going to roll.
He just probed you, boy.
I'm giving you a gesture.
You have been probed.
There is a gesture happening right now.
Yes, and he will say to you, he kind of smirks a little bit, and he says, "Yes, you have," because Dane, you had just said, I believe we've encountered her," and he looks at Tarask after a moment of his eyes closed, and he opens his eyes and he says, "You have indeed. You've come face to face with the beast herself." And he'll say, "She was once mortal. In fact, she was revered by many as a very beautiful, honorable woman. However, something corrupted her heart over time. The lust for power, the understanding that magic could bring her land, wealth, and territory and control. And when she started the Black Wars, nobody knew the extent to which she would go. We quickly found out." And when he says that, he puts his hand on his shoulder as if to suggest he got injured in a battle or something. And he says, "What is your interest in the Lady Naladri? I understand you've encountered her and she may have caused you some despair. However, I sense that it goes deeper than that."
No, not at all. She has tested us beyond what we thought we could handle, and my curiosity has been piqued. That is all.
Yes, he'll turn back to Ishtar and Dane and says, "Knights of the White Flame. Well, we've never had an orc before. We've never had an orc before." And then he'll say that when you are prepared, when your business has finished here in Nala, that you are to contact him and to not let it be more than a few days. Come back to him once you've prepared for the journey that lies ahead for you. And he says, there will be more to be revealed to you in the next few days, and there's nothing we can do at this point. I know the goings-on of the lords and ladies in Nala, and you are going to be summoned there soon. We must let this happen first, because we must have the support of the lords and ladies in whatever task we undertake. However, they are not to know of my involvement, or there will also be no mention of the Order of the White Flame. Is that understood?
That is understood.
Roger.
They don't exist.
And I also looked at him and say, I understand your concern regarding my compatriots as to whether or not they are worthy to be Knights of the White Flame.
He holds his hand up, and he interrupts you.
Okay.
And he snaps his finger, and the door at the bottom of the stairs slams shut. And then suddenly you find yourselves in complete darkness, and then the torches around the room go. And then there's a chandelier up above you with 3 candles that all light up at the same time, and so the room is fairly well lit. However, it's a tint darker than it was before, just a moment ago. And he comes back into view of all of you again, and he says, "Since you have agreed to my terms, it must now be sealed." And he takes his white ring off, and he kind of looks at it, and as he's looking at it, he reaches over and he grabs a staff that is leaned up against a bookcase, and he'll look at it, and the top of it will begin to glow a little bit, and he'll take his ring and he will touch it to the top of this staff, and the ring will begin to glow this bright white, blinding white. And he'll walk over to Ishtar first, and he says, by taking this mark, you are honor bound and duty bound to serve the Order of the White Flame. Do you accept?
What restrictions does that put on me?
He says, do you accept?
Look at the other
And he has this like serious tone about him that this goes beyond your desires of restrictions and things of that nature, that is a paltry question to ask.
Ishtar kind of glances at everyone else and says, I agree.
He will
I accept whatever you.
Yeah, he'll reach forward and pull down your shirt right here, and he'll brand you right there on the shoulder. And then when he does, you see this white flame, and for just a moment, it's searing pain on your shoulder. And in fact, the wound where it's at catches on fire for just a moment. It's like, whoa. And so your skin singes. But then as soon as he removes the ring, and the fire goes away very quickly, and you see this symbol of white flame on your shoulder, and then it looks like it sinks into your skin and completely disappears, and your shoulder is left completely unmarked, as though nothing happened.
Is the shirt burned?
No, he had pulled your shirt down with one hand.
Oh, okay.
To do that, he'll pick his staff back up, and he'll walk over to Korak, and he'll say the same thing. By taking this mark, you accept your service to the Order of the White Flame. Do you accept?
I accept.
Okay, and he'll do the same to you and place the mark on your shoulder, and he'll go over to Rask and ask you the same question.
I accept.
And he'll mark your shoulder as well. And then he will put the staff and ring away, and he will open up the door to the bottom of the stairs. The lighting goes back to the way it was before. The larger torches are lit, and things are back to normal. And he takes a look at Dane, and he says, your journey for the Order of the White Flame is a different one. Your task is to retrieve the ring your mentor had. Whose hands it is in, I can only speculate. However, there are only two groups that would have attacked Pelé and killed your mentor, my friend. And those two groups are the first one belonging to Lady Naladri, her minions coming for the egg.
How do you spell that name?
What name?
Lady Naladri.
It's Neladrie.
Okay.
Yep. And then he says the other group is a group called the Dragon's Hand. And he'll explain that the Dragon's Hand is a group that has self-proclaimed themselves the rightful keepers of dangerous artifacts. And they will claim that they were commissioned by the dragon gods themselves to acquire powerful magic items and keep them from being used. And traditionally, in this world, dragons would go about and they would collect powerful items that had been made by humans or any of the other races that became too powerful. So if the dragons deemed an item too powerful, they would go and acquire it and stash it away so it could never be used again. And this group claims that they are commissioned by the dragon gods themselves to acquire such powerful magic items and keep them from being used. And Daniel will explain that this, however, is not true. And now he seems to be on a soapbox. He's like, And he's like, well, some lower members of the Dragon Hand that might actually believe that they're doing this for the Dragon Gods. The upper hierarchy knows this to be false. They use it as a pretense for taking powerful items that they desire in order to amass as much power as possible. Beware the Dragon's Hand, for they will be after you not only for this egg, but perhaps even Korak for your spear. Those basilisk teeth are naturally magical items. Do not be surprised if you are approached by members of the Dragon's Hand asking for that spear. Do your best not to let this egg... In fact, your sole duty at this point is to not let this egg fall into the hands of Lady Naladri or the Dragon's Hand. For if it does...
Yeah, after he says that, Ishtar says, we may have a little problem with that. Kind of looks, I guess, more at Dane right now, and it's like, yeah, someone else I think knows about the egg.
He says, more than you know about this egg. And then he returns his focus back to the egg, and he says, you don't know what this is, do you?
I know it is not. I know it is magical. I know it's not of this world.
He holds his hands out to hold it.
Reluctantly, I let him take it to show us.
Yes. He holds it, and you see this just pleasure come over him in grasping this egg, and he says, oh, to hold such an item in one's lifetime is unfathomable. And he'll hand it back to you, Dane, and he says, this is nothing less than a blue dragon egg. He says, when it hatches, it will be your responsibility to take care of the creature that comes out of it until it is able to take care of itself. We have been given a gift from the lady, or from the goddess Audrey herself. We have been given another dragon.
So...
This truly is something that must be protected, and this is what your mentor gave his life for.
If it was my master's duty to defend this, then it shall become mine.
He says...
That kind of goes, well,
okay.
I think life just got more interesting now.
He says, indeed it has. You will have more people looking for you and looking for this egg. This is why it is important that we get you as much training and knowledge as possible of the secrets of the Knights of the White Flame. There will be certain benefits that come with it, among which the ability to sense when such enemies are near. And this, you will find, is a truly important ability that we teach. And he'll offer some guidance. He'll offer some guidance to Dane as far as keeping the egg safe. He says the egg is not ready to hatch yet, and that it actually weakens it to stay warm. So as opposed to a normal egg where you want to sit on it, keep it warm, keep it incubated, this egg benefits from being kept cold. And
so where am I going to find a place to keep it cold without arousing suspicion in a large city?
He says it will be fine as long as it is not heated to a hot temperature. So no fire or anything of that nature. Otherwise, it it'll be fine wrapped up in blankets and stuff like that. In fact, because it emanates its own cold, keeping it wrapped up in a blanket, anything will actually kind of the same concept as a fridge. It'll keep it colder.
Okay.
Mr. says, "Well, the biggest problem we have right now is we think someone may be after us. Do you know of any safe houses or locations that we can stay in?"
He says, unless you plan on returning to that temple, that godforsaken temple you found yourself in, or he wouldn't say godforsaken because it was a temple to the blue dragon, so he would say that he's trying to say what a ramshackle, in poor condition this old wonderful temple was in. Unless you plan on going back there and hiding for the rest of your lives, there is no place that is safe.
Lovely.
Be on your guard.
So it was no coincidence that we found the temple to the blue dragon.
And he stops for a second and he's like, oh no, that was totally a coincidence, actually.
Okay.
And you get the sense that he only knows that you were there because he has divined this. He's discovered this through his magic. And he kind of laughs to himself a little bit, and he's like, go figure. To think that you would be in the temple of a blue dragon and then find a blue dragon egg. The odds are insurmountable, but I digress. And in actuality, meta, I didn't plan it that way either. So it truly was something that happened per happenstance. Because if you remember, you rolled for the color of the egg.
Yeah.
That's true, we did. I do remember that. I personally am going to say I have a pair of other concerns that I wish to address with you in private, if that would be okay.
He'll say yes, he'll agree. However, he has to get back to his business. He can't leave for too long. He'll arouse suspicion. And that now is not the time. He wants you to meditate on the things that you've learned, on the challenges that are to come. And he wants basically for the things that are going to happen in the next few days to happen. Okay. And then any further questions you have can be answered then.
Fair enough.
Can you suggest a inn that we can go to as our last place has been compromised?
He says, they've all been compromised. Do you not understand? No matter where you go, you will be found.
Okay.
My best suggestion is to not stay for one place for very long.
Is there a way we can identify these individuals, members of Lady Naladri's, whatever you want to call them, or members of the Dragon's Hand? Is there a way that we can clearly identify them so we can prepare for them?
He says, such an ability does exist. However, it will take some training to teach it to you, for which we have not the time at the moment.
So it is not a clearly defined thing that we can see now.
Correct. And as he's hanging his robe back up and he's setting his staff into a hidden compartment in a dresser, you see him place the ring in a drawer, and then as he closes the drawer, he kind of like rubs his hand very gently down the side of the dresser, and then all at once it just kind of fades away, and there's no dresser there anymore. So much so that if you were to run your hand through that space, it would go through that space. It wouldn't hit anything. It's not just invisible; it's gone.
More that displacement magic.
And he will say, "What was the last thing Dane had said to him?"
Oh, that before I asked about any ways to identify them.
Oh yeah. He'll say, after all that important stuff's put away and he's got his tunic back on and everything, he says, "At this point, if somebody tries to kill you, just assume it's one of those two groups. That it's some bad guys."
So pretty much we're on high alert nonstop.
Nothing new there.
Yeah. Okay.
Nope.
Let's go back to the Rise and Grind lunchroom. They wouldn't expect us to go back there, so I need some sleep.
Fair enough.
I want a good match.
We got Cole to watch out for us there.
Yeah.
Who?
Oh,
Francois.
yeah, Francois.
Oh, the human.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, the human.
Yeah, that human. Okay. And we're off.
As you guys are bantering about like that, you see me do my best impression of Picard facepalm as we walk out.
All right, you guys make your way back to the Rise and Grind lunchroom, and yes, Cole is elated to see you back, and he says, "My masters, you've only been gone for a few hours. I've not had time to deliver the message to Herndon yet. Do you still want me to?"
We just missed you, human.
He says, "I'm flattered."
Now, Herndon will contact me here. There's no need to pass on my message.
Okay, and as you recall, you were told by the secretary over there that further details of the match and all of that sort of stuff would be delivered to you here at this inn.
Yes.
And so as the night presses on, you're all able to rest and roll those endurance dice pools. I know some of you did already. However, since you're in such a high-class accommodation and you're being taken very well care of, you can add 1d6 to your endurance dice pool roll to regenerate health.
Nice.
And it will explode, so keep track of it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm at full as well.
I'm just short of full, but I should be okay.
And Ishtar, how are you looking?
Yes, I'm full actually. Yeah, I
Cool.
got that life on the streets exploit, which gives me another d6 also. So
Nice.
Fantastic. The night presses on. You would probably take watch overnight, and nothing happens. Nobody comes. Nobody does anything. No assassins in the night or anything. It's an uneventful night.
I would ask that everyone at the beginning and end of their shift check to make sure that the egg is there.
Okay.
I say also
Yes, and-
check the hallway too.
Yeah. All those precautions taken. Nothing is heading your way without you seeing it, and indeed, nothing does. And egg is safe. Everything is all good. You wake up the next morning to a delivery from the other servant, Valentina, and she simply comes and hands you a note written in Herndon's script.
Okay.
And she will hand it to whomever opens the door first. Dunk, 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 dunk.
Korak will open the door.
I guess whoever's on watch now, yeah.
And she'll-
Gigi. Good morning.
she looks very awkward and like she doesn't say anything. She doesn't even look you in the eye. She just kind of hands you the note and waits for you to take it.
Okay.
Your sense of this is that she may have been abused, or she's used to kind of hearing not a whole lot of great things because she's a woman in such an establishment as this, a gladiatorial place, where lots of, men come through, boisterous and drinking and so on and so forth. And she's just keeps to herself, head down, hands you the note. And when you take it, she'll walk off.
Okay. I will say, I'm sorry, Valentina.
She kind of stops and looks back at you and makes eye contact with you, and she says, "Thank you," and then turns and walks off. When you look at the note, you indeed see it is inherent in script, and it is a time, and it is a list of events. So you were expecting to fight just Yathgal. That indeed is the main event. However, there are a few events lined up around this. He threw together a lot in such a short amount of time, which is customary for him, because the more events he can line up, the more money he's going to make. So you are indeed the main event. You are slated to go on at about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So after everybody's eaten their lunch, they're all fat and happy, and they want to see some stuff go down. That's when your main event is at.
Okay.
And
get the bloodlust of the people up.
That's right. And it also has four, or rather 3 handwritten notes that give Ishtar, Dane, and Tarask kind of front row seats to the happenings, to the goings on. Korak. In your time in the arena as a gladiator, you were accustomed to the practice of bringing somebody you knew down into the pits with you. And the pits are basically what you would refer to as kind of the dugout. And it's where you go. It's the staging area before you go out, right? And there's a bunch of different pits before you get out into the main arena. And it was customary for gladiators to bring 1 or 2 people down with them, somebody who maybe could give them fighting advice in between rounds, somebody who could give them support in some way or another. And so that would come to your mind when you see these handwritten tickets for seats as, well, who am I going to bring down there with me?
Okay.
And so, yes, you're all, unless any of you want to go into detail with your mornings, or if there's anything else you want to do while you're here at the Rise and Grind lunchroom, then we will press ahead here.
I would assume that this would be the time where I would train my light armor.
Yeah, okay. Yep, that could happen this morning. There's events going on all day at the arena, so you're not required to be there until, you need to show up for the bell.
Right. Well, I would probably show up earlier just to get a feeling for the crowd. Say like two events at least before mine.
Yeah. And
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to add that Tarask, as usual, is just nursing his bow.
Okay. And Ishtar, what are you doing kind of this morning?
I don't know what Ishtar will be doing, actually.
You know Korak is heading over to the Gladiator Arena early.
You know what? Ishtar would probably tag along with him.
Okay. Loot in hand, I assume.
I was employed at the Gladiator Arena at one point as a minstrel there, so I'd probably head over there.
I'm just saying, think Knight's Tale.
I've never seen that.
You have never seen Knight's Tale.
No.
Watch Knight's Tale. Heath Ledger's the knight. The other guy, watch the hype man. That's your job. You're the hype man.
He's all right. You should see that.
Because it fits your character so well.
It's Izzard, right?
I believe that was his name, yes.
So I would also hand out the notes to each of them for their seats, so that they have them.
Okay. Yeah. So, Korak, when you arrive at the arena, and Ishtar, you guys arrive at the arena, and you're instantly recognized. There's people shaking your hands, and there are guards. Lots of guards at the arena. And you two are used to this. You've seen things get out of hand before, where people have tried to assassinate gladiators on their way in while they're unprotected and all that kind of sort of thing. So there are a plethora of guards. There's also guards in the pit. Typically, the pits are guarded by at least one guard who will kind of pat down for any objects that are not permitted, which isn't many, and many of the guards can be bribed anyway. But generally speaking, what they are looking for, they are trained to find anybody smuggling in any type of magical item or any type of healing salves that are not permitted within the arena. And especially for high-profile fights, of which this is one. As the day presses on, I'm going to assume Dane and Tarask, you guys will find your way to the arena.
Yeah, at some point, Tarask would turn to Dane and just say, "You ready to go and, well, either see our friend, the hero, remain so, or watch him get cut to pieces before we ever have a chance to save this dragon's egg?"
Ye of little faith.
Yeah, you're not there.
Dane, are you responding?
1 minute. Sorry. Since they're trying to keep magic stuff out, I guess I'm going to have to kind of.
Oh no! They're you going in. The only thing they're going to make sure you don't have are any objects that could be thrown into the arena that have long range. So, Tarask, they would ask you to leave your. You can bring your bow in, because they understand that kind of thing. But they would ask that you leave your arrows somewhere safe. Because they don't want people launching arrows into the arena.
Tarask would grimace for sure. He would.
Korak would have probably explained that to everyone so that they wouldn't have brought them. They could have left them in the room.
Yeah. So knowing that though, before I leave with Dane, I'm going to try to take 2 arrows and put them like up my sleeve.
Okay.
Can I roll something when I get there to try to?
Yes. Are you going to? How are you going to try to do it? Are you going to try to convince them that you're not carrying anything? Or are you going to try to wait until they are patting you down and shift things around?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm using the meta attributes here to kind of describe it, I think it would be kind of like an intuition thing, just kind of like guessing where he's going to look and just kind of use my hand to like move the arrows as he pats me down so that they're never where he's patting.
Okay. I'm going to have you roll 2 separate checks then.
Okay.
And it's going to be against one of his checks. For him, it's an intuition perception check. For you, it's an intuition, and if you have anything sleight of hand or anything like that to add to it, you can add that.
Stealth. That would be the closest thing, but I don't have sleight of hand.
Yeah, I don't think stealth would apply here.
Okay,
Oops.
so just intuition then?
Yep.
Okay, so that is 9.
Okay. As he is a trained professional. However, he only rolled a 10, but that still beats a 9. However, you're doing more than just like guessing where he's going. So you may have guessed wrong in one instance, and now you have to use your agility. And in this particular case, stealth can apply. So use your agility stealth check to beat his static roll is still a 10.
Okay.
So he's just going down. Do.
I blow
You're
a 10 out of the water.
Okay.
So
All right. Yeah. And
19,
you
21.
guessed wrong at first, but then you're like, oh shit, and then you shift it to the side. So you managed to smuggle in 2 arrows without any problem. Perfect. Love it. And yeah, Dane, you're good. You don't have any ranged weapons that they are aware of, and yes, you two are shown your seats by some lovely ladies. Or men, if that's what you're into. They've got it all. And eventually, Korak, you are ushered down into the pits, where you will be greeted by your guard. And Ishtar, similar thing with you and your arrows. If you wanted to leave your arrows back at the inn, you were totally welcome to do so. Or
yeah, Ishtar would left them at the hotel.
Okay.
At the inn, yeah.
Then yeah, they'll let you have your bow with you. That's no problem. They just don't want you having any projectiles to use with it. And
So
yes,
my
if you're gonna
staff
go,
would be, so my chorus staff would be safe as well.
yes,
Okay, cool.
yes, and so Korak, at this point, you have a decision to make. If you want Ishtar to go down into the pit with you, or if you want him to go take his seat with the others.
So Ishtar is going to go with me.
Okay, cool. All right, Ishtar's going with you. Great. So you get down into the pit, and it is stinky, and you two are the only two down there. And at this point, it's maybe about 20 minutes before your fight with Eothgald. And, yeah, does Korak have any preparations before going into this fight? Does he have anything he does?
I mean, he would sort of just start working out with his spear, spinning it and going through movements, making sure he's loosened up, stretching, yelling.
Where we are in this pit, can the crowd see it?
No.
Okay. I was gonna say, start probably get the crowd going like Korak, but if it's not visible, then it's okay.
Yeah, you can hear some of the stuff going on down in the arena, and what you hear most prominently is the crowd. However, the last event that was going on before you went down into the pit was a few volunteer gladiators trying to prove their mettle against a pack of tigers that were, at the point you went down, were tearing the gladiators to shreds. There were 1 or 2 that were standing their ground. However, yeah, things were looking bleak. And then you hear the final "oh" kind of come from the crowd, and you can assume that was probably the last gladiator going down to the tiger.
I'm assuming that there's some wagering going on for this.
Oh, for sure.
For this fight.
All over the place. It's not illegal at all. It's
okay. I look at Trash, say, what do you say we try to help our cause?
That doesn't seem exactly like the behavior of a white dragon knight. But
I look at it this way. We need to be a little. We gotta maintain a little bit of coercion. We can't be just completely out there right now.
Ah, yes. Stealthy behavior. Sure. Let's blend in. How do we do this thing?
basically you'll there are a few people going around taking bets and whatever, and they're followed closely behind by a ledgerman. And basically, you just place a wager. And right now, the odds are 2-1 for Korak. So you stand to gain the most if you bet
against
on Yathgald.
Okay. What's the since my character not having been here, I stopped one of these people and I asked, how is this fight run? What's the, I've done my share of other sparring and things, so how is this handled here?
You'll find some old man who's missing some teeth, and he's clearly like, the old NFL guru of the arena, and he says, well, and he's shouting over the crowd. He says, they march the warriors out there, and they have to bow to each other before they fight. But then once the gong hits, they just fight. They're given one rest period, 5 minutes. They can go catch their breath, go change a weapon, and then they're brought back out. And then when one goes down for good, the other gladiator has to make a decision whether or not they're going to finish off that gladiator or if they think they should live.
So there are no rounds to speak of.
He said, well, I guess there's 2 rounds then.
And Tarask slings the Dane and says, if I understand this game correctly, if we bet against Korak, we could win more money.
Yes, but only if Korak loses. But then we run a risk of him possibly dying.
Why don't we just go tell Korak to lose on purpose if we're going to make money? Isn't that more important?
No, because it's not his decision whether he lives or dies if he loses.
Oh, right.
That
Yeah.
reminds me, I gotta sell that stuff I got from the small folks farmhouse that I lifted.
Well,
I was more.
Actually, Ishtar would have done that already, probably.
Yeah, probably.
We'll handle that later.
So if I just bet on correct win, I double my money. But
no.
what if I were to? I'm asking the bookie that's here. I'm asking the bookie. What if I set a time frame?
But I'm just letting you know you wouldn't be doubling your money because it's 2-1 against. So I mean a 2-1 for. So if you bet 100 gold pieces and he won, you'd be given back 150 gold pieces.
No,
If you bet on Korak.
Yes.
Yes, but the fact that he has no choice as to whether he lives or dies if he loses
Oh
concerns
no, I'm not.
me.
No.
Are
I'm
you
not
suddenly
arguing.
having a moral conundrum?
No.
No, I'm not having a moral conundrum. I'm more thinking. I'm more looking at. He's saying we have him throw the fight. I'm saying that would be nice. That'd be. I would not object to this idea if he had choices whether he lived or died after he lost.
And then a little voice appears in your head. The voice
He's
of
not
maybe
going to lose.
Yeah, no, the voice of some maybe far off GM or something that asks you to consider the nature of Korak and whether he would truly throw a fight.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, that's what I was going to say, Dane. Tarask has totally given up. Once you said that, Tarask was over that idea. But I was just pointing out to you that when you said you double your money, you won't. I'm just pointing out the math of it, not trying to convince.
Okay.
This is just meta.
Okay. Excuse me. I was trying to increase the odds by making it where he won like in a specific time frame.
No, that's cool. I'm saying go with that. I was just correcting your math in case you were surprised later because you said
okay, no problem. So, out of character, quasi meta. Are we running by the standard D&D rule of a round equaling 6 seconds?
Oh no! When you said round, I'm thinking like boxing rounds. Like each round is a certain number of minutes.
Well, I was more talking about whenever we're initiating, whenever we get into the initiation of combat, and he's actually, he's taking his attack. The other guy's taking, back and forth on the attacks. That's the rounds I'm referring to.
Oh yeah, they're roughly 6 to 10 seconds.
Okay. Because I know, I look at the book and go, you know what? 2 to 1's nice, but how about I sweeten the pot a little?
He says, yes.
I say Korak wins in under 3 minutes.
There are a few people around you that are like, oh, yeah, I think he does too. Yeah, I think he does too. And they start handing notes.
So where are my odds?
And you've thrown him for a quick loop, and he looks down to his ledgerman, who's scribbling furiously on a parchment, and he finishes writing up, and then he holds it up to the guy, and he looks around to everybody, and he looks at it very secretively, and he puts down, and he says, well, there's about 3 to 1 odds that doesn't happen. So it's a 3 to 1 instead of like 1 to 2. Like I don't know how to say it. It's I've inverted it. So instead of it being 2 to 1 odds in Korak's favor, he's saying that it's 3 to 1 odds that doesn't happen. So you would triple your money if you got that.
And Tarask kind of grins at this. He definitely likes what you're doing.
Yeah. So I want to get ahead onto this. Are you wagering any money at those odds at that risk pool?
I'm gonna throw a
coming up.
gold note.
Okay.
Let's see. I know I collected.
And
some...
yeah, you'll hand the ledgerman 10 gold, and he will hand you a 10 gold note, basically. And
I know I had some gold from some other previous stuff we did. I think I've got about 25 gold, so I'm going to give 25 gold to him for this.
Okay, he hands you 2 10 notes and a 5 note, and each of the notes that you have written. That were handed to you are handwritten on one side the amount, and then on the other side is written the conditions of the wager. So yes, we go back down into the pit, and you get an announcer who walks into the pit from the arena towards you two. And he looks at you, Korak, and he's dressed in like almost jester's regale, and minus the hat. He doesn't look that silly, but he's very dressed up. And he says, "The glorious Korak." And in fact, you know this man. He's announced your name many times before. What is his name?
Luger.
Smith.
Okay. And he says, "Oh, Korak."
Yes, Luger.
He says, "It has been a long time, my friend. Where have you been? Everybody's been wondering."
Exploring the troll mounts and the swamp.
Says, see, I knew you didn't run away from Yathgald. I said to myself, I said, Luger, Korak would never run from a fight.
I don't even know this Yathgald yet.
He says, well, if you ask me, he's not much to look at. But he gets the job done. He seems to win his fights. He doesn't fight with very much form. In fact, I don't know how he wins.
Ah, interesting.
I know. He seems sloppy as all hell, but he just manages to win. It's interesting. But anyways, you're looking in fine condition, might I add.
Thank you.
And he says, the usual introduction, I assume?
Of course.
And he says, fantastic. And he'll look over to Ishtar and he'll wink. And then he'll make his way back out into the arena.
No, I've probably seen this guy before, right? Too.
Maybe, maybe not. You could make a reputation check for me. It's more or less, would he know you?
I only rolled a 6.
He doesn't know who you are. I'm sorry, Ishtar.
So when he winks at me, I kind of, why not? I'll give him a wink back.
He's very pleased with this, and he'll scurry on out the way he came, and it's only a couple more minutes before you hear the crowd go silent, and as you look out onto the arena, you see him with this big, like, wooden horn. It's like a speaker, basically, to project his voice, and he says, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. And everybody's up in the air and everything, and he says, now I know some of you have thought that Korak the Spear Bearer has run away from this fight. And you hear people in the crowd say, no, Korak would never run. You hear other people saying, Korak's a pussy, and everything. And then he says, but I have spoken with Korak myself, and I can assure you, he is here to fight. And then people are going crazy again. And he says, but we must have mention of our challenger. And then he says, fighting out of the blue corner, or not, he wouldn't say corner, what would he say? He'd say the pit. Out of the blue pit, the undisputed, undefeated champion of the arena, Yathgald. Then he comes out, and I'm going to put a picture in the Discord chat of what he looks like. He comes strutting out, and there it is. So he is a young man, very handsome, and he comes just kind of walking out all super cool with his helmet on his side and everything, and he's holding his sword up above his head, and he's like, just taking in all the praise and everything. You hear some boos from people in the crowd who must be diehard Korak fans. And then Yathgald goes up to the man and he says, Yathgald, do you have anything to say before this fight? And he hands him the megaphone, and Yathgald will put his sword into the ground, and he'll grab the megaphone and he'll say, in a deeper voice than you might expect, and he'll say, Korak the Spear Bearer will die here today. And he just kind of like shoves the speaker back into the announcer's body, and he like pushes him back and everything, and you hear a lot of boos from the crowd, but then you hear a lot of cheers and excitement too. And then the announcer says, okay, very well, and then he'll say, now returning to the arena after a slight hiatus, hunting monsters from faraway lands. I hadn't actually come up with an intro for. So, what kinds of things would Korak like to hear said about him in a big introduction?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think of like the muscle from Down Under or something like that. Like a tagline for him. The orc from, I don't know. Let me think.
The Slayer of Basilisk.
He wouldn't
Killer
know
of
that,
Ghouls.
but he would say, the returning champion of the arena, the one, the only who has held the title of the ultimate combative sparring warrior, none other than Korak, the Spear Bearer. And then that's your cue to walk out. And as you do, and the sunlight hits you and everything, the crowd just goes absolutely nuts. And you see flowers flying down from the arena, or from the crowd. You see, like some panties fall down. You see all kinds of stuff. People are just going absolutely nuts to see you again. And then the announcer will, when you get up to him, he'll say, "Korak."
As I'm walking up, I'm spinning the spear so that when it hits down towards the bottom, it is actually cutting through the sand and flipping sand up as I'm spinning it.
Yeah.
As I approach.
Yeah, that's badass. There's a woman in the crowd who gets some sand like in her bosom, and she's like, and she just pulls her shirt off, and she's like, ah, and she just go crazy, and you finally make your way up to the announcer, and he motions for everybody to be silent, and he says, "Korak, do you have anything to say before this fight to the death?" And he hands you the megaphone.
Yathkol, I hope you've prepared your last rites. And I hand it back to him.
Did you say that out loud in the megaphone, or did you just kind of say it quiet? Yeah. It's absolutely nuts. He says, prepare the gong, and he'll back off and he'll run off the arena, and you see some guys pull out a big gong with a big mallet ready to strike it. When you're standing there in front of him, he's just kind of looking at you and smirking. He's just kind of like pacing back and forth, smirking, and he'll stop for just a second to put his helmet on. And when he does, the face mask doesn't come down to it, doesn't come down immediately, but when he pulls it down, it's a mask. It's a white, kind of void-looking mask. It's the eyes are kind of angled downward to make it look kind of like sad. And then there's like carved into the helmet itself, there's like ridges where teeth would be, and it's very jagged at the spot at the mouth. And then his chin is just exposed at the bottom. And he kind of twirls his sword up, and he's got his other hand free with nothing in it. So he just has a helmet, a guard on his one arm, and a sword, just like in the picture.
All right.
And do you do anything else to prepare yourself before they ring the gong?
No, I'm good. I will bow to him as...
Yeah, he doesn't bow.
No.
And he gets boos for that. Boo! People throw...
we've established the heel in this scenario.
Yes, people will throw dead flowers, which is symbolic of their distaste. And let me pull up something really quick here. Okay. The gong rings, and you must roll initiative for me.
Okay. 25.
Holy fuck. Okay. Let's see. So, just really quick, did you recharge your luck dice or anything today?
I did not.
Okay, all right, then,
When did I use the last one?
I don't know. Are you out any?
I used one, but I think it was the night before.
Actually, I think you used one when we were in with Daniel. I thought, didn't you use one when you were in there with Daniel?
Yeah, and that would be the night before.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you should be good to go.
Okay, yeah, so you're good.
Well, let me see here. At the start of each game day, each player should form a luck dice pool. Okay, so yeah, luck is one of those things that is automatic, apparently, at the beginning of every day. And then once per day, you can spend... Or no, I guess it's just once at the beginning of the day. Okay, cool. Unless you have any exploits that do it for you. So,
and that's what Korak does all the time. He kills people with their luck die.
Yeah.
That's right.
He doesn't get that luxury here. He has one guy to kill.
Yeah.
And then Korak, you said you rolled a 25, huh?
Yes.
Good heavens.
What's your initiative at now?
It's 5d6.
Okay, same as me. Okay.
I rolled really well.
Okay, so yeah, I guess you did. Holy crap. Did you roll 3 6s?
No, I rolled 2 6s, 2 4s, and a 5.
Okay. All right. Yep, you are up first. Your guys are positioned about 20 feet away from each other.
Okay. So, yeah, I'll just keep it sort of simple. I'll sort of run up towards him, and I will employ Trip.
Okay.
I'm going to knock him on his butt right at the beginning. Okay. $24.
Okay. How are you coming in at him? Are you coming in with a leg sweep?
Basically, I'm going to flip the spear down and under, or to the back of his leg, and bring it up and down.
Okay. As you do, you catch him off guard at first. He was expecting you to go high, and when you do, you begin to see him stumble. However, he quickly is able to catch his guard and stand back upright.
Okay. So does that mean I did not hit him with that roll?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So I did a move and an action, so.
All right. His turn. He will... you catch eyes with him, and he kind of smirks at you a little. Well, actually, you can't see him smirk. Right. However, you see him looking at you, and he kind of pauses for a moment, and you feel something kind of wash over you a little bit, and I'll let you know what that is the next time it is your turn. However, for now, everything is the same, and he will, after you go in to trip him, he catches himself and he spins around and he tries to bring a backhand with his short sword across your chest, and he will roll a 19.
That will miss.
Okay, so he misses, and that's his 2 actions.
Okay. So I figured he was using some sort of spell. Okay, this is going to get interesting. Okay. So
would I have been in range to sense magic on that?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to feint low again.
Okay.
And then I will attack high. Okay. 28.
That one connects.
Okay.
And you catch him on his side. It's stopped short by his arm guard, though.
Okay. And yeah, not too much damage. 9, 10, 17 points of damage.
Okay. Okay. Yes, and as soon as you strike him and blood is drawn, the crowd begins going wild, and he takes it, and then that was your 2 actions, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then in stride, he's surprisingly, for as much as everybody's been talking about how like sloppily he fights, he's actually seems like good on his feet to the very least, if his blows aren't all that great. Because as you drag your spear up and it catches his arm guard, he will take his other hand and he will try to punch down at your face.
Okay.
With a 29 on that one.
Oh, yes, that definitely hits.
Okay. Wow. For 7 points of bludgeoning damage with his fist.
Okay.
Across the face. And then he will, after he catches you across the face with that one, he will try to come down on you with his short sword over top. And he gets a, oh my word, he critted on that one. He got a 30.
Okay.
So yes, he gives you an uppercut and he comes down with his sword, and he will hit you for, hold on. For 25 points of slashing damage.
25 points of slashing damage. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So he just...
That will not hit.
Okay, all right. So are you using...
I enact that.
Okay. So the way I see this playing out then is he catches you with that uppercut and everything, and then he comes down on you, and it looks like the sword just cleaves right into you, and it sends you down onto the ground. And when it does, he raises his hands up into the air, and you hear a lot of gasps, and the crowd is almost like silent, except for the few people that are like, yeah, gold.
And then the kip up.
And as I have quick stand, I kip up and come slashing across. This time I'm going to use a luck die.
Okay, before you do, add 2d6 to your attack from... No, 1d6, sorry, from attacking from behind.
Okay. Okay. 26. And I did not my luck die did not explode. So
okay,
26.
yeah. You are barely able to catch him, but you do indeed.
Okay.
He turns around at the last second to see you coming at him with your spear, and the crowd tipped him off to it because they saw you stand back up real quick.
So 17 more points of damage.
Okay.
So do I have any clue what he's doing to me?
You do not.
Okay.
Not yet. So the quick stand was a free action.
Yes, actually that means I get two more attacks.
That's right.
So, okay.
Come on, crits.
Yeah, the thing about it is I can crit easier. That one didn't even come close to hitting him. So that's 10, 12, 14, yeah, 15.
So your first blow, you come at him and you and it catches him on the side as he's turning around. And then as you bring your spear back around again, he parries it with his sword and he absorbs it. And then you're going to come in for one last attack.
Yeah. And there we go. I got my crit.
Ooh, okay.
All I needed is 2 6s. So that's 12.
Oh, that's right.
17, 20, 25, 28. So it's a crit. Now what happens on crits again?
Damage explodes.
Damage explodes. Uh-oh. Oh. My screen's just went dark.
Oh, it also pushes them along the status track according to the type of damage that you deal.
Okay, and I do slashing damage.
Okay.
And I did not explode anything.
Gonna make him bleeding.
So that's just, it's 16 points of damage.
Wounded. He'll take another point of damage anytime he takes a second action in a turn.
Yes.
So 17 points to, so, okay. Okay. And he's wounded. Okay. So at this point, you have another attack coming, right? No, that was your third.
That was my third.
Okay, he will back off of you a little bit. He will stand back, and you see him clasping his side where you drug your spear across it, and you see him panting heavily, and you two kind of circle around a little bit more, and he will kind of feint one direction and then come over with his sword to try to hit down on you. He rolled a 27.
That's it.
Okay. Normal damage is 11 slashing damage. And that's his 2 actions.
Okay. So what was the damage? Sorry.
11.
11. Okay.
And he takes another point of damage from being wounded.
Okay.
At this point, the crowd is just eating all of this up. They love it. You can see that there are some guards posted along the side that are kind of looking nervously at each other. They know that the gong ring is going to be coming soon for the end of the first round.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to feint again this time.
Okay. At this point, you've surmised that he has an armor class of 26.
Okay. All right. 25, 26, 27, 28. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So, come on. I need some good damage here.
So he draws some blood from your arm, and as he does, you meet him with another blow from your spear.
Yeah, only 14 points of damage that time.
Okay.
So that's my turn.
Okay. And he will back off again. And he will try to just wait the rest of the time out. So he takes up a defensive posture at this point. He's breathing very heavily and is grabbing his side. Okay. And he's weighing his options. You see him looking around.
Okay. So he's basically.
I scream from the stands. Take him out.
Okay, so I'm gonna approach, and I'm gonna. Did he move far enough away that I have to do a move action to get to him?
Yes.
Okay. So I will do that. I will spend my luck die to hit him this time.
In less than 3 minutes.
We're approaching 1 minute now.
Well, I'm going to assume that this has taken, it hasn't quite been 3 minutes yet, but essentially what you would have betted for is the first round until the gong.
First round.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not hit.
Okay. As you slash by him, not hitting, he steps to the side and will press his hand into your back. But when he does so, and to outside onlookers, it looks like he punches you in the back. And he'll deal, 5 points of bludgeoning damage with his fist. However, what you feel is something sear into your back, as though he did something to you. And you feel a little bit frailer after he does this. Okay. And so, yeah, Korak gets the sense that maybe he would take a negative 2d6 to all of his attribute rolls from this point forward. That's Korak's general sense of it.
Wow. Okay.
And when he does that, it sends you forward a little bit, but you don't fall down.
Now that didn't get through my soak, or did it go through my soak?
Your soak would have applied to it.
Okay, so it did no damage to me.
Okay, so it did no damage to you. Then that's fine, but the mark still remains. That magical effect still happens.
Okay. Wow.
And you hear him laughing. Kind of. You see him splitting out a little bit of blood from underneath his mask, and then the gong goes off, signaling the end of the first round. And the guards will immediately begin to rush out and separate the two of you because, gladiators.
Okay. Now I can replenish my luck. Is that right? Or is that only with I have to kill him to replenish?
Yeah, I think it's just at the beginning of the day, your luck dice pool. However, when you make... I was focused on the battle. While part of this battle is going on, Ishtar, the guard comes to you in the pit, and he says, there's somebody outside for you.
I just asked the guard, who is it?
He says, I don't know, go see for your damn self.
No, this is before. This is
while the fight is going on.
What's the sense motive roll in this?
It'd be just an intuition. If you have something, I don't know. Not perception. That deals more. Well, I guess you could add perception if you wanted. All right, now whose motive are you trying to sense? The guards?
The guards, yeah. If there actually is, more like, is there actually someone there? Or is he trying to get me away from here?
Okay.
Okay, that's good. 10. 20.
Your sense is that he would have no reason to bullshit you. There must really be somebody outside waiting for you.
Okay, now, when he means outside, where exactly?
There is
outside the actual arena, or
no, not outside the actual arena, just outside the entrance to this particular pit.
Okay.
So if the pit you're in is a staging area, then the place that they're waiting in is basically the walk down that would go kind of
the anti-pit.
Yeah, yeah. But there's crowd so that they can see people walking to and fro. But then, so people can cheer their gladiator as they make their way into the pit. But then, getting down closer to the pit, there's an area that is devoid of any spectators, where the gladiators can get, into the pit without being harassed or cheered on by any more people. And that's where they're waiting for you.
All right, so I'll have a hand on my weapon. I'll walk out. I don't draw it, but I have like my hand on it.
Yeah. The guard eyes you warily as you walk by, and you make your way out there. You hear cheers and jeers coming from the crowd. Everybody's focused on the fight, and the person standing before you is a person garbed in this black robe and a hood over top of it. There are some red markings that go around the cuffs and patterns that go along the robe and everything. They have leather boots that you can see are muddy and dirty and everything, and you cannot see their face. Their face is obscured, and they draw you in close if you'll let them. And a voice comes from behind the hood, and it says, "Your boy Korak, he's gonna die out there."
Now, I guess this is more out of character. Would Ishtar have seen like kind of the weird stuff that's going on in the fight?
No, you wouldn't have.
No, okay.
It would take a very, very keen eye to see what has happened, and in fact, at this point, nothing's happened.
Okay. Oh, that's right. That's right. It's during the fight. Okay. So, and you think Korak's gonna die? And
he says,
"Who were you exactly?"
He says, "Consider me a concerned party." He says, "Yathgald is cheating."
Okay, when he says that, I take my hand off, like the hilt of my weapon.
He says, "Watch in the fight. There will be a moment that he strikes him with the palm of his hand, and suddenly your boy Korak ain't gonna feel so great anymore. Well, I've got something here that'll counteract that."
Okay, Ishtar definitely looks intrigued.
Yes, and he will hand you... At first, his hand is empty, but then you see him turn it over. He holds his hand out like this, and it's empty. And you're like, okay. And he turns it over and closes it, and then opens it up again. And inside of his hand is it's almost the size of a locket, but it's a little amulet. And he'll push his hand forward to you and hand it to you, if you'll take it.
I reach in to take it, and as I take it, I ask, like, how do I put this on Korak?
He says,
I'll take it then.
Yeah, he says, Korak is to wear this. When he puts it on, it will turn invisible, so no suspicion will be aroused. And he'll wave his hand over as he puts it in your hand, and he says it will remain invisible for the next 30 seconds, so you can get it past the guard. And he'll begin to walk away.
Okay. Crap, I was gonna say something as he walked away. I can't remember now. I says, now, who do I owe this? No. Okay, so what Ishtar pretty much says, I don't yell it because I don't want everyone to hear it, but it says, who do I tell Korak thanks to?
He'll say, the many people he'll make rich, of course.
Okay, Ishtar just kind of nods at that.
And they'll scurry off. And by time you make your way in, the guard will check you over and find absolutely nothing on you. And he'll say, I suspect everything went well.
Yeah, some guy trying to buy me off.
Figures. And he motions you for you to get back in the pit. By the time you do, you come out and you see a few big blows between the two gladiators, and then you witness that moment that the man described of him pressing his palm into his back, and then Korak stumbling a little bit, trying to catch himself, and then the gong going off. Guards rushing in, and they bring Korak back into the pit. At this point, Korak, there's enough things in there, and there are people that run in from other pits on either side of you to tend to your wounds and so on, and you'll be able to roll half of your endurance dice pool to regenerate that much health. Yes.
Okay. So, come on. Okay. So I get 5 back. Not quite.
Okay, what's that put you at out of curiosity?
I'm still at 37.
Okay.
So, the big one I was able to fake.
Yeah.
So, but it's like I'm like I grab Ishtar. It's like he did something. I don't feel good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was going over to Korak and I says, as you say that, I say, yes, I just found out not how he's cheating, but this, and I kind of like look around. Do I have to make a roll to like slip this to him, the amulet?
You can wait for a moment that where the people tending to him have dispersed, and you have a moment to talk to say this to him.
Okay, yeah. So I say, I don't know what he's doing, but I found a way I could buy it, and I take out this amulet and I just put it on you. I says, wear this. It should negate whatever he's doing.
Okay. So when I put it on, do I feel better?
Initially, no. Initially, you feel nothing. It isn't until you stand up and that the amulet actually turns invisible, and you stand up and you stretch and you kind of look at your wounds and everything, that you feel another burning sensation on your back, and you feel it melt away.
Okay.
And when you look down and you go to feel for that amulet, you know it had gone invisible, but you weren't expecting it to not be there anymore, and indeed it seems to have disappeared as well.
Okay.
It seems to have been something that was a one-time use kind of thing that burnt off that mark that he put on you.
And I described like the robes to Korak and asked, like, do you recognize that or seen them before?
Okay. So that would be a
logic, history, or local knowledge.
11.
You've seen a few of the people that manage, because of your familiarity with the arena, you know that there are basically overseers of the gambling that goes on in the arena, and that is the type of clothing that they wear. It isn't always the same. They have a lot of money. They wear different clothing, but they're only ever really interested in completely masking their identity, and so that's who you would assume it was.
Okay. So Ishtar, that sounds like an overseer. So
interesting. Okay.
Obviously, he has money on me.
Yeah. Ishtar says maybe they kind of know what Yathgold's doing too and set that up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go put an end to this.
I give big pat on this. Well, I guess he's like 10 feet tall.
Go get him, buddy.
I get to his shoulder.
Too bad you can't do your song and too bad you can't do your song and boost his initiative by another die.
You know what? Your song wouldn't necessarily. Well, they would probably be. Would Ishtar have any other way of doing that? Well, the exploit itself is a pep talk, right?
Yes.
So you just patting him on the shoulder saying, "Go get him, buddy." You're able to say that in such a way that it'll be like, you're able to get something in there that I'll let you get plus 1d6 to your initiative roll. Not that you freaking need it.
Hey, you never know.
But yeah, so
Go get them.
Now you roll 6 1s.
Right. The two of you are marched back out there by the guards. There's no such decorum this time. I'll go ahead.
I'm sort of stumbling and, basically hamming it up a little that
Okay.
I'm still feeling weak and that. So
When you get out there, he will he has his mask raised and everything, and you see him smirking at you like a little dick. And you two are put there, and there's a moment before the gong rings that it's just the two of you, and he licks his lips and he's like, "How you feeling?"
still strong enough to beat you.
And he'll take his helmet and he'll look at it and he'll chuck it behind him, and he'll kind of get ready to go, and the crowd starts to go, "Oh yeah," and everything, and then the gong goes off. Yeah, and then we roll initiative yet again.
Okay.
When he throws that helmet, it's serious.
So 23 this time. I did
I
better.
don't even know if I can roll that. No, I would need to roll literally all 6s. Although stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
It's possible.
But not this time. Okay, so I'm not even about to change anything. All right, so you are able to get the jump on him, much to his surprise. He's just kind of ready to go, and they hit the gong, and you lurch forward.
Okay. And
again, they started you about 20 feet apart.
Okay, so I will come up to him, and I'm gonna go for a trip again. And is 19.
Okay, yes, he's able to step over your spear this time. And that's both your actions?
I moved and attacked.
Okay. This time you see him just kind of like come up with his sword almost in like a finish. He's putting everything he's got into this, which is me signaling that he's dropping 2 dice for an attack roll to deal that much more damage.
Okay.
And he rolls a 22 to hit.
That will hit.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that, but that's what happened. So he gets a 24 on the damage.
Okay.
And so you go to trip him, and he comes down on you with the hilt of his sword. He has to spend an action kind of recovering from your trip and closing the distance because you're using a longer spear, and he has to move into melee range with you. And when he does, he uses the hilt of his sword. He hops over it and he just bashes you right on the neck.
So he did how much again?
It was 24.
24. So that's 19. Okay. So I am below half hit points right now. So I now get an extra die with my glory to hit. So.
Okay then.
Okay.
Let the fun begin.
Is that an orc thing?
Yes. Okay.
He'll say when he does that, he'll say, "This is your grave."
Not today. And you've got to be kidding me. That's 20. I missed. Can't believe that.
And it just goes by him.
Oh, that was just my first attack. Sorry.
Yeah.
Come on, crit.
22.
It goes by him again, and you're whirling at him with your spear, and you see the countenance on his face completely change. While he was smirking to begin with, he just smashed your collarbone. You come back at him with this furtive energy that he was not expecting.
Okay, there we go. I even critted the normal way, because that's 3 6s.
Yes.
25, 20, 29.
Now
Oh,
fives
perfect.
explode.
And I just described how his countenance changed, so you need to deal like massive damage and run him through.
10, 13, 16 damage.
Okay.
Nothing exploded.
He is, however, wounded. Again, he was able to remove that condition before, but he's wounded, so he'll take another damage if he. So you crash into him with your spear. You kind of like with your first swing, and it just barely misses his belly. And your second swing just barely misses his neck. And your third swing, you come down in a downward slashing way, and you actually catch his chest, and you pop his arm guard off with it, and you slash him across the arm, and a spray of blood goes down into the sand, and he howls out in pain when you crash into him with your spear. And he screams, and he's got blood coming from his mouth and everything, and he takes a moment to speak, and he says, "How are you still standing?"
Why did you
I
cheat?
scream, he's just that damn good.
He will, as you're saying that in response to him, he's like, "How are you still standing?" And you say, "I'm just that what did you say?
He's just that damn good.
Yes. He pulls out a throwing dagger and throws it at you while he lunges forward. It's 25.
25 will hit.
Okay. So this little dagger comes flying towards you, and it deals 4 points of damage. It bounces off of your skin. However, it provides just enough distraction for him to rush in and close the gap. But that's his 2 actions. And at this point, you sense that he is grasping at straws.
Okay. So, how much damage did it do? Sorry.
4. It was completely soaked by your...
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I am going to use my young exploit.
For this attack?
Yep, for this attack. So this will explode. And, oh, that's great. So that is 3 6s. So I critted on it.
Nice.
So that's 18, 22, 25, 30, 33, 34, 2 more exploded. So that's 46, 49, 50.
He just doubled.
3.
He just doubled his armor class.
Oh my word. So what should I do?
I say make
Well-
5s explode.
Okay, 5s and 6s explode then. Yeah.
Okay, so I got a 5 and a 6. So that's, we got 10, 15, 18 points of damage right now. 19, 20, 21 right now. 25, 31, and 1 6 exploded. 35 points of damage.
Okay, so he had 16 health and 6 soak. So
Okay.
the most damage he could take was 22. So how does Korak finish this off? He just got done finishing a throw towards you and then charging at you with his sword. He's blood from his mouth. blood on his chest and his arm, and he's screaming enraged that his trick did not work.
Okay.
Oh, behead him.
Yeah. I spin it and just right across the neck.
And you know the scene. The head goes flying, the crowd goes completely dead silent. The knees hit the ground first, kick up sand. The body hits the ground, kick up more sand. The head rolls right next to it, and this look of shock and horror on his face is just burned there. And it fades to black with the crowd just erupting in excitement. And then we'll pick it up next time.
Okay. Yeah.
Nicely done. Nicely done.